Welcome to our first ever DJP live event. Can everybody hear me? So we got a couple people logged in. If you can give a thumbs up or just a quick note in the chat. I see everybody starting to come in. Awesome. I hope everybody's having a great Tuesday. This is going to be our first in a series of live monthly chats for you guys. So right now we're going to be scheduling these on the third Tuesday of every month, and we're going to talk about a different topic each time, of course. We also have Melissa from DJ Event Planner in our chat to help moderate chats as well. In this chat, we're going to be covering booking helpers and enhancing your workflow. So we got a lot to cover and kind of go over what we're going to be covering. We're going to cover what are booking helpers, obviously. We're going to cover that real briefly, and booking helper settings for those of you that are not familiar with booking helpers, and a few of my favorite booking helpers and other real world booking helper examples. So we do have a lot of information to go through. So if you guys have any questions, try to keep them until the end. But if you do have a burning question that's important, please post it in the chat and we'll do our best to get to you guys as well. So what is a booking helper? Let's go back there for a second. A booking helper in basics is a macro command. It's a function that you can set up to perform multiple tasks with literally the push of one button. Booking helpers themselves can be triggered either manually, automatically, by an electronic signature, emails, and first payments. So we're going to take a brief look at the booking helper settings for those who are not familiar with them. Again, we're going to be quick. Should you need more info or more coverage of those settings, make sure you jump to our YouTube page and check out the booking helpers tutorial video. And let me see here, just getting my screen organized so I can see everybody's questions. So we're going to jump over into our test account here. This is a test DJ Event Planner account. To get to booking helpers, you can find them underneath Setup, Application, and then Booking Helpers. And the different booking helper settings that are available, we'll go through these again real quick. So underneath, when you go to create a booking helper or edit a booking helper, the General tab is the first tab that's going to come up. Here you can give the booking helper a title, and you can also give it a button title. If you give a booking helper just a title, it'll appear on top of an event in the booking helper dropdown up here on the right. If you give it a button title, you'll see that it'll appear here. You can also color code those booking helper titles, or I should say buttons, so that you can have easier visual separation of what different booking helpers you have. Display options here you can set it to see what events you want to see this booking helper on. So you can decide if it's a booking helper that only relates to an active lead or to a booked client or to a specific event type or different packages and add-ons. And no matter what, whether you have that hidden or not, when you're on an event, you can always see your hidden booking helpers by clicking the booking helper dropdown and click show all, and that'll show any booking helpers that are not visible to this specific event. Going back, the next settings tab is the event details. Here you can change specific details from the event status, add a next action. You can even change the event name to a different name if you like. Financials, here you can add payments. Client portal, you can change the permissions with the booking helper. Event planning, you can assign an event activities form, an additional planning form, special song list, primary timeline, etc. You can send emails to any specific number of different people. You can also set specific dates and times, from system dates to custom event dates as well. You can also change the setup and start time with this setting here. The setup time, I should say, versus the start time. So if you use setup time for your events with your employees, you can put the setup time in there. For under the employee settings, you can change the salesperson. You can mark employees that are assigned as notified. You can also assign an employee to an event, to a specific position and with a specific role. Automation is where you can get really crazy and with booking helpers, and these settings are going to be based upon what works best for your workflow. By no means are you going to have to use all of these settings. It's all what is going to make most sense to you. But underneath automation, you can have a booking helper run when you add a new event set to specific details. So event status, event type, packages, add-ons, etc. And we'll go over why you'd want to use one of these here shortly. And you can also have a booking helper run when you update an event. And we'll go over that, a real world scenario with that in a few moments. You can also save a document to an event. So if there's a document that you want to just save to the client file, you can do that with a booking helper. You can also assign equipment with a booking helper, which is one of my favorite things to do as well. And then last but not least, underneath our booking settings, we can add a contact record. So we can add an appointment, a to-do, obviously a client contact, or none. At this point, obviously you want it on none if you're not adding a contact. And you can go through these specific settings, and these are the meeting settings. So that's the settings in a quick overview. Again, if you didn't catch everything, that's okay. We do have a booking helper tutorial video on YouTube, so make sure that you utilize that. On some of these settings, now we're going to kind of go through some of my favorite settings with this. So these are just a few of my favorite settings and few real world settings. So clearing next actions, updating the event status, adding payments, cash, check, or other method, sending contracts, adding equipment to an event automatically based upon package or add-on, adding equipment and things like that, sending emails. I'll show you how that works, as well as we can assign employees and notify employees. Those are some of my favorite booking helper things, and we're going to go through a couple of those and how to set those up. If you have any questions during this that are burning, you can feel free to post those in the chat, and as well as we will, once we're done going through these, we'll do a quick question and answer session. So I know we still have some members coming in, so I'm trying to stall, but I definitely want to try to keep through this as quickly as possible for some of you guys, and try to keep this under an hour, since I know probably many of you are joining us and watching this from lunch. So starting off, one of my favorite booking helpers, and you'll see in this test account that I have a couple in here, and I actually don't have it in this account, so we're going to add it right now. And this is going to be clearing the next action. This is the easiest way to get your next actions cleared. So simply put, we're just going to title it the booking helper clear next action. We're going to give it a button title of clear next action. Oops. And I want this available and visible on all events, because I'm going to be able to clear out any event status, or not status, next action where I'd like. We're going to give it a button. We're going to color code it. I'm going to make the font a little bit bigger. And now to clear the next action underneath event details tab, we're going to set the next action. We're going to just enter null here. And then down here for set next action date, we're going to click null in the dropdown, and that's going to clear the date. And that's all that needs to be done in this booking helper in order to clear a next action. So if we go to an event, we have this test event. Let's give this test event a next action here. We're just going to give this next action up here on the 17th. So now this event has a next action. It's going to show up on our calendar if we have it set to do so, as well as our side list of next actions for that date. Now, if I've returned this client's call, all I got to do on the event is click clear next action. It'll give me a confirmation of what's going to happen. Click OK. Next action's cleared. It's going to save me from having to go in and do the update and then click this to no action and clear. It's just a few less keystrokes. Makes things really quick and easy. That's a real basic and simplified booking helper. The next one that I really like is adding payments. So I know a lot of us will take check and cash on top of credit card. Obviously, if you're using the payment gateway, it'll automatically update the event. But if we're taking check, cash, or we use a third party that we don't have an API for, you can easily add that payment. So for example, for deposit paid by cash, we give the button title, deposit paid by cash. I want this visible. You can have this visible on whatever event statuses you want. Obviously, if they're already booked, then or a client that is using you for services, you probably don't want it visible on there. Currently, I have it set to all event statuses. But now underneath the financial tab, underneath add payment, you can select what amount is pre-populated. So in this case, because we're adding deposit, we want to have the retainer fee. The method for this is going to be cash, but if you had any other service, you can add payment methods in here. So if you use Venmo or something like that, and the reason for payment deposit. Now this box here, prompt for details. If you leave this unchecked, it'll automatically add the payment in the amount of the retainer fee and mark it as a deposit. If you have a payment where you want to track the tracking ID or the payment ID, or if it's a check and you want to add a check number, you can click prompt for details, and that'll pop up a window for you to enter those details when you run the booking helper. So to see this one in action real quick, when we go to this event, has this client made any payments yet? No payments have been made yet. So we'll click deposit paid cash. It's going to confirm this is what we want to do. It's going to, I have standalone equipment on this event, so that booking helper has been changed, but we're going to click that anyway for right now. Under the financials, we'll see that that payment has now been added in the amount of the retainer. And it's real quick and easy. It just makes it real simple. Now, when you do that as well too, what I like to do in this event in this booking helper for sending, adding the payment. Let's see, we added equipment on here somehow. Oh, so we're gonna delete that. To the client, I'll also like to send an invoice or a receipt email, so we can have that go out automatically when that payment is added. So you can also do deposit paid by cash, payment paid by cash. If you wanted to do a payment, say by check, and you can title it whatever you want. We'll just give this a random color for right now. Underneath the financial, we'll take, let's see, we'll do balance due for right now. Whoops, not check, cash. I'll put the reason as payment. We're going to prompt for details this time. And we're going to send the client an email of invoice. So now when we're on that event, and if this client made a balance payment or whatever, even a deposit by check, when we click this booking helper, it's going to open up the details page. So if you needed to change the amount, so if they only paid, say, $450, and we wanted to put the check number in there and then save that payment, it'll be added, as well as that invoice email sent reflecting that payment. So that's an easy way to utilize the financials for booking helpers. One of my favorites as well, and I hope everybody should be using this, and if you're not using it, you should do it, is sending a contract. And there is a tutorial video on YouTube about how to send a contract utilizing a booking helper. And underneath here, obviously you title it what you want. You can have it set for visibility of where you need. But when we send a contract, we got to update a couple things. So we can either update the event details to contract sent, send the client our e-signature email template, add the contract sent date, and you can also do other things if you wanted to send an email, underneath emails, if you wanted to send an email to the employee that a contract has been sent to notify them, you can. And this one, let's see here. Nope. Okay. So then that's all that needs to be done with send wedding contract. So when you run this on a client, once you have your financials set in place and the client says, hey, can you send me a contract? Just click the booking helper. Boom, it's done. Saves you the time of having to compose an email or manually create the email template, or even having to go send email, selecting that template, and then clicking send. Every few seconds helps when keeping our business running smooth. Any questions so far about those 3 different booking helpers? Moving on, and we're going to kind of go to a little bit more advanced. Again, if I move quickly for you guys, let me know. I want to try to cover as much of this as we possibly can in the amount of time. And again, of course, it is being recorded and we'll replay it, and it'll be available to watch on YouTube. So a couple other my favorites you'll see up here. This is my test account. But you'll see things like add blue backdrop, add white backdrop, add gold backdrop. This is great for any of those times that you need to add additional equipment to an event quickly, or even assign equipment. I will like to use booking helpers to assign systems to my event. So an example of that would be this one right here for this bronze photo booth. Underneath the equipment, I have the equipment that is part of this system. I will call it a system. So I have the bronze photo booth. I have this memory book assigned. I have props assigned. And when I run this booking helper, it'll allow me to add that equipment right away to the event. I'll confirm it. That's probably going to be duplicated on this event now, but when we go to our equipment, we'll see that that information has been added. The bronze photo booth, basic memory, basic props. The reason why I like to do this through booking helpers is because it allows me to edit this. You can also, there's a couple different ways you can add equipment, either manually by going to the resources tab. You can have it added via package or add-on, or add it via the booking helper. Adding it via the package and add-on, you will not be able to edit the quantity of equipment. So I like to assign it as a system through a booking helper, because then I can come in here and I can edit the quantity. And it makes it really easy to assign a system. You can also have this run automatically when you add a specific package to an event. So let's say bronze photo booth, underneath the automation, when I add it, or excuse me, when I add an event, let's say we just select all for right now, for all event types, and I want it for just the bronze package, for example. This means it'll run anytime I add this package, add a new event with this package automatically, and add that equipment for me, making it one less step that I have to do. You can also have it run when updating an event when you have that package added. You could also have it so if you are adding an add-on to an event and you need to add equipment to a system or to an event, you can have it run when that add-on is added to the event. So let's just leave this one here where it's at. Well, let's say underneath here, we're going to add, use a lot of photo booth stuff on this event. So underneath, let's say premium memory book and supplies, we're going to enable this. Underneath here, we're just going to add, do I have a premium memory book? Yeah, right here. We're going to add that. And underneath the general tab, we're going to have add memory book or premium. And I don't want this visible on any of these event statuses. And the reason why is because it's going to run automatically. So it just needs to be in the back end. And I'm not giving this a button title because I don't need to see the button title on it. So now when I go to an event, let's make sure we remove that piece of equipment. Oh, it's got basic memory book right now. Perfect. So if we go to edit this event, we go to the financials and we select the add-on of premium memory book and supplies. We save it. Now underneath our resources, that was automatically added to our equipment list. So it makes it real easy to automate a bunch of different things with that booking helper automation. There's a lot of different things that you can do through it, whether it's automatically notifying employees, again, sending emails to clients, updating an event status. It all depends upon what works best with your workflows. So the best way to begin utilizing the booking helpers even further is to really write down your workflow, look at each step, and find out places where you're doing work that you could probably have done through a booking helper to make life easy. Let's see here. We kind of got through some of those a little bit quicker than I thought. So those are some of my favorites as far as booking helpers go. Again, assigning equipment, automatically assigning equipment or running and adding employees. Sending emails real easily, like sending an invoice. Instead of having to go to that event, if the client makes a payment or they just simply request an invoice, you can click the booking helper, send invoice, and it'll email that invoice right out to the client from the use of the booking helper. A couple other places that the booking helpers can be run from. Underneath your e-signatures, once a contract is signed, you can run a booking helper after that contract has been signed. So if there's things that you want to have done that are not capable underneath the actions, you can have that booking helper run and do that. So if there's something else you wanted it to do that it currently doesn't do, like add equipment, for example, once that contract is signed, maybe you want to assign equipment to the event once that contract's signed, you can do that here by selecting that booking helper in the dropdown, and that booking helper will run once that contract has been signed by the client. Another one that was recently added is underneath the payment gateway. You can run a booking helper now once an initial payment has been made. So this is going to happen is if there has been no payments made on this event, this will run a booking helper. So if you want to wait to notify your employees until the deposit has been paid, for example, you can do that by setting up a booking helper to notify those employees once that initial payment has been made. The other way as well is through emails. You can have a booking helper run after an email is sent. A good example of this would be, again, if you need to notify employees, if you need to add a payment, if you need to save a document, if you want to add equipment, or simply just update the event status. For example, if it's your last email to a client and you want to run a couple things at once, update the event status to lost sale or add a next action of follow up in 10 days, you can do that once this email goes out by selecting that booking helper to update those event details. And those are how booking helpers can be run. Let's see, do I have any other favorite booking helpers for you guys? Adding a next action is another great one that I love as well too. So let's say I want to add a follow-up call to a client. Underneath the event details, we're going to leave the event status where it is, but we're going to set our next action is and I want to do this, let's say 4 days after current date. Makes it real easy and real simple to add these to your clients, so especially in your workflow. So add follow-up call. It's going to add that next action for me, and that's going to show up on my calendar. Follow-up call. So those are some of my favorites and real-world examples of booking helpers as well. I went through them pretty quickly again. I think now is a great time for any questions that you guys might have. So if you have a question, feel free to type it in chat or raise your hand, and we can unmute you on our end as well. I don't see any questions coming through yet. There we go. Keith has got one. Keith asked, when you set up a follow-up call on the calendar, will it email you a reminder? You absolutely can have it email you a reminder. It's about how you set up those emails, but it's going to show up typically in your, obviously, your calendar. So underneath that booking helper, oh, I totally lose my spot there. There we go. So where is it? Add follow-up call. I forgot to add that text color to make it. We can send this email, which will go out immediately to us to remind you that you have a follow-up call. You'd have to do a scheduled email that day to do that, which is not going to be part of the booking helper. James, can you elaborate on that? Is there a way to add multiple actions to an event? Do you mean multiple next actions?
Yeah, so in other words, let's just say you have, for a wedding, you need to actually, design a photo booth strip for it. You need to have you want to call the employee. You have a couple different things that you want to do. And like right now, I have it set up where, let's just say my next action is going to be, I need to design the photo booth strip. So I do that, but
okay.
3 days prior, I also need to, pull a backdrop for it, or I need to call the employee and we have a team meeting. So is there a way to do multiple actions? So if I look at my calendar, I could see that on whatever day it is, I have multiple things per that event.
Gotcha. So what I would do is, instead of using next actions, is I would use to-dos. So you can assign a to-do. So let's say it's pull the backdrop, for example. And you can have it, you can set it specific days. So say it was, what'd you say? Well, let's just say it's 4 days before the event date. You can set a specific time and day that you want this to come up. If you don't leave a time, it's going to use the current time. So let's say I want to take care of this stuff in the morning, for example. You can add a length if you want to. If you don't add a length, it's just going to show up as a to-do on that day. Obviously, there's no location. If you have an employee that's supposed to be taking care of that, let's say one of our employees is going to be taking care of it, you can assign an employee here. If it's a to-do that you want the client to see, you can have that there. You can also add a background or text color to the calendar. Sorry. And which one was this? Yeah, so let's say we're adding the follow-up call and adding the to-do on here. So if you go to this events list, when is this event's date? So 12/31/2020. We had the follow-up call. It's going to add the to-do for us. And that to-do is going to appear underneath the contact manager, pull backdrop for event. And it's going to also appear on your calendar. Let's see this. Here in your to-do list. It's going to appear on your to-do list. And that would have been 4 days. So we don't have to-dos visible on here on this calendar. So, but it'll appear in your to-do list. Actually, I don't think to-dos appear on the calendar. That's the thing I didn't think about there. So your to-dos are not going to appear on your calendar, but they'll always appear on your side panel, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Actually, that would be very helpful for a lot. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problems, James. You're welcome. JP asked, new to the booking helper concept, what are some good ones to set up initially? Really, I think sending a contract is definitely a very, very important one. It saves a lot of time, makes things run smooth. Same thing as sending or adding payments to the event. It really depends upon your workflow. Again, the way I preface it to a lot of people is, if you find yourself doing the same things over and over again for each event, you can probably build a booking helper out to do it for you. So again, those initial ones, I think, obviously clear next action, adding next actions, changing the event status if you are manually changing event statuses for something, sending contracts, sending emails, adding third-party payments, whether cash, check, or another software it's not coming through the payment gateway. Those would be the ones that you want to start out with for sure. And then again, as you analyze your workflow and you're working within DJ Event Planner, and you find yourself performing multiple actions, there's a good chance that it can be set up in a booking helper to make life easier. Now, Sean, you asked about how you auto follow up to emails. Do you mean emails coming into you, or emails coming into following up to clients? I guess could you elaborate a little bit more?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Sean.
Okay. Um, Automate emails when clients reply to you. How do you set up the automation?
So you can't auto reply to, there's only one real auto reply that comes out, and that's the auto responder from the request for information form. But when a client actually emails you, you will have to reply to that email depending upon what their questions are. So, for example, oh, I got rid of my IMAP setup on here. So I'd come into, if the client emails me and I have my IMAP set up, I will respond to it from within DJ Event Planner and attach it to that account. But if you're looking for an auto reply to go out every time, as far as like specific time of day, like, hey, thanks for your message, we're currently out servicing events, whatever, that's going to come from your email provider.
Okay.
So
Okay.
you'd have to log in there, and you could create that autoresponder in there, or the auto reply. So
Okay.
like an out of office message or something like that.
Okay. Can you set it up to where it gives you a reminder?
To give a reminder when a client email comes in.
No, no. Like say for instance, like the email comes in, you reply back to them. The second day they haven't responded, you try to send them an email, and then the third day or the fourth day you try to reply back to get them a response.
So yeah, I would utilize the event status and next actions. So when you have that event status and next actions, let's say for example, um, this client had sent us an email and they're currently an active lead. I could create a next action of follow up on email, for example, and you could create that as a booking helper, just like the add follow up call. And so when you reply, you would just click on, if you're using an email template, you can have the booking helper run automatically of add follow up to email template. You can also schedule emails. And in this case, what I would do is I would use an email campaign. So for, I don't think I have any in here, but like follow up inquiries, still need our services, for example, I would schedule this to go out. I'd have multiples scheduled to go out. So I'd have one that maybe goes out 3 days after initial contact date, 6 days after initial contact date. And each one would go out automatically to the requested info, new lead or active lead statuses down here. You can also use a custom event date. One I like to use is I have a custom event date of status change, and I'll use a booking helper to change the status. And then I'll also update that custom event date. So that way I can schedule those emails going out based upon that status. So the first step in that, I think, would be analyzing your workflow. When are those emails coming in? What is the status of the client? And then creating scheduled email templates to go out to them. So even though you reply manually, you can still have scheduled emails go out to follow up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. So that's auto. It does it automatic.
Correct. Yeah. So when you have email templates set up to schedule, so you'll see a lot of users, for example, for active lead, you could have up to, 10 emails they're going to go out, 2 days after initial inquiry, 4 days after initial inquiry. And those will keep going out to that event status until you change that event status to the next step in your workflow.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
No problems. You're welcome. Ricardo, yes, this is going to be online tomorrow. We're going to put it up, do a live watch tomorrow at 7:00 in the Facebook users group, but it will also be available on YouTube. So we'll post it when it's available on YouTube to our YouTube channel. And I see that Melissa just answered that question. I did not read down that far. So thanks, Melissa. Also, while I'm thinking of it too, I have a little poll for you guys that should pop up in the chat. So if you get a chance to fill that out, just a few questions and about future webinars, of course. Again, currently, this is the first of our monthly series. We're going to do it on the third Tuesday of every month on a specific topic. But definitely looking for input on what you guys want to cover, and of course, frequency of these things as well. Because I know that questions are definitely always come up from time to time, especially as new features are added to the software as well. And that time, again, for tomorrow, for the watch party is going to be 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. So if you have any questions, you'll be able to ask questions there, and we'll be replying to those questions in the Facebook users group on that comment feed. And again, the recording will be available online through YouTube. So, and be able to come back to it at any point in time. There's a lot of different settings I know that are available inside of DJ Event Planner. And if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, make sure you do so. It's just youtube.com/DJ Event Planner. We were working hard to get out tutorial videos as well as text guides for those of you that prefer text on different features and functions inside of DJ Event Planner. As well, of course, if you've not found it yet, live chat is available to all of our users underneath support options, and that's available 9 to 5, Monday through Friday Central Standard Time. Obviously, you'll see that it's currently available because both Melissa and I are in this webinar with you guys, but after the webinar, that will be listed as available. And the support forum as well, too. If you haven't visited the support forum before, it's a great place to get questions answered 24/7. It is monitored 24/7. Obviously, after business hours, it may take a little bit longer to get a response. But it's a great place to add as well any items that you wish the software would do. Our software is developed based upon our users' input. So we do have the wish list item up there, and I believe we currently have like 2,800 wish list items, and we have over 1,800, I think, that have been completed so far. So we're definitely listening to our users and keeping things moving forward. So, and I think we got through everything pretty quickly. Does anybody have any further questions about booking helpers or other while we're here? And if you haven't had a chance to answer the poll yet, please feel free to put your input in there of what things you'd like to see out of future webinars. And yes, as Melissa mentioned, the shared planning forms that are available from other users. So if you're looking for ideas, those can be found underneath when you're looking at the planning evaluation forms and then form sharing. You can go through and preview the forms, find one that you like. So it'll pop up in a new window. You can preview the form if you like it. There's an import button that'll allow you to bring it right into your portal. Perfect. Well, I think we'll probably wrap this up for you guys here and let you get back to work. Again, reminder, tomorrow we're going to do a replay on a Facebook watch party at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time on the DJ Event Planner users group. Hopefully all of you are currently members of that group. That's a great place to get tips and ideas and ask questions of other users to share with them. So I thank you guys for your time today. I hope you guys got some information, learned something new. That's always my goal. Of course, any questions that you have, again, post them in the chat before we end the meeting or hit them up on the Facebook user group during the watch party tomorrow, and we'll get those questions answered to you as best as possible regarding booking helpers. Again, when you're doing booking helpers and you're thinking about what booking helpers that you want to implement into your DJ Event Planner, it may not stand out to you right away, but as you're working within the portal, again, as you see things that you're doing repetitively for each event, there's a good chance that you can make that into a booking helper and even possibly automate it. So that's probably the best way to move forward with it. I would highly suggest, if you haven't done so already, write out your workflow inside of DJ Event Planner and look at those individual steps that you want clients to take, or those contacts, or those communications with them. And you can find those spots where you can utilize booking helper to help make your life a lot easier. So again, thanks for joining, guys. I hope you guys learned something. Like I said, other than that, hope you guys have a great rest of the Tuesday, and we'll see you on the live chat, or not the live chat. We'll see you on the live video replay on the Facebook user group tomorrow, Wednesday, September 16th at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. All right, guys, have a great afternoon, and thanks for joining. Bye-bye.